Hey there friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here again, and today I wanted to show off my max Threadling build in Destiny 2 that I've been running all week in Iron Banner because it's Eruption, and this build plays perfectly into that game mode. I've been having way too much fun. It's not the most OP or meta build, but it is one that I think you will enjoy if you just give it a shot. And first off, I'm going to start with the weapons. These are pretty interchangeable. It does help if you do run at least one strand weapon. I swapped between Rufus's Fury or Hung Jury as a kinetic if I wanted to use that to do some weekly challenges or something like that. But overall, don't fret about whatever weapons you are using, because it's not really the main part of the build that you need to worry about. There's a lot of different options. I just prefer to have some synergy because it makes things like creating tangles and all that kind of good stuff a bit easier. And it does synergize better, but it's not really necessary if you have some favorite weapons. I was also running Tessellation and then the Semiotician. These are just, again, doing challenges, using strand weapons to kind of stay on theme, but you can swap those out for whatever you want to do. It depends on what you're running, what you're comfortable with, and all that kind of good stuff. I think that's more important in PvP sometimes than the actual weapons that you're using. Let's get into the actual build, and we've got Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Arcane Needle. These are all just standard on Strand, and then we've also got the standard super as well, the Needle Storm. But then we get into the grenade. It's Threadling, obviously Threadling build. This makes sense. But one of the nice things about this is you can actually throw this before you get into a fight, and you'll perch 3 Threadlings right from the beginning. So you can do this, and I'll explain in a little bit what I like to do when I start a match. But yeah, you can kind of toss that in the beginning when there's no enemies nearby, and immediately perch some of those Threadlings. I'm running Weave Walk with this build. The survivability with this is insane. Plus, it kind of pairs well with relocating from place to place, dropping a bunch of Threadlings, and then getting out of dodge, and then engaging once again after that. So that's one of the things I really like with this build. And this is the main difference from what I previously ran with a Strand Warlock in PvP. Also, Weaver's Call, obviously, this is going to help a lot as well. Get me a bunch more Threadlings once I cast my Rift. It's also nice because when you pop out of Weave Walk, you can do so by popping your Rift, and again, it's going to deploy all of your Threadlings. And if you have a bunch of enemies chasing you, it can just cause chaos, do a bunch of damage, get some kills. It is hilarious. And then finally, as far as the fragments go, Thread of Evolution is the most important. This is going to be massive. Then we've got Thread of Rebirth. This is going to help if you're running a strand weapon. Obviously, you'll swap that out if you're not. And then Thread of Continuity to unravel for longer. You're going to see some, or if you run this build, you're going to see oftentimes you'll get kills way after you engage the fight, because you'll hit someone with a Threadling and they're just going to stay unraveled for a long time. It's actually crazy. Now, mods are not really super important as far as the PvP builds go. A lot of it is building into getting your melee back faster, but getting your grenade back faster, all of that kind of good stuff. But in Eruption, it doesn't really matter because it's got that almost mayhem-like timer cooldown sometimes, so keep that in mind. You have to run the Swarmers, though. That is the most important part of this. You're going to be running this for the increased unraveling for the Threadlings. It's absolutely necessary. Your Threadlings unravel targets that they damage, which is huge. Destroying a Tangle spawns a Threadling, so that doesn't matter if you don't have to use a strand weapon in order to destroy the Tangle. You can destroy it with anything, and you're going to get some more Threadlings. Essentially, you're just constantly creating Threadlings. That's why I'm using them pretty judiciously. Apologies, where I'm just kind of throwing them out as often as possible to try to create as much havoc as I possibly can. And yeah, the Swarmers are fantastic. I highly recommend. You could probably swap this out for Necrotic Grip with other builds, but not this one because you are using Weave Walk. You don't want to be using your charged melee at all. Your main key with this build is going to be using that melee for the Weave Walk. I don't think the Strand melee for the Warlock in PvP is all that good anyway. Sometimes they'll finish off enemies, but that's what you'll see the Threadlings are doing. If you shoot an enemy, you get into a gunfight, they duck behind a corner, they pop a barricade, pop a rift, all that kind of good stuff. You'll see 3, 4, 5 Threadlings launching at them, and it won't give them time to recover. So that's one of the things I really like about this. You can essentially halfway engage in a gunfight and then disappear, go do your own thing, go fight somebody else. And this is why in 6s it's so nice. You're not going to want to use this often in 3s. I did use a variation of this in trials before. When it's zone trials, it can come in handy, but more often than not, this is going to excel in 6s because you can engage and deal damage to and then unravel multiple targets at a time. And that's really going to be huge because you see it a lot in Iron Banner where people will run together. They're all kind of moving as a pack, and you're going to need to try to fight one fight and then be alive for the next fight and then be alive for the next fight. So if you can engage but then recover with a healing rift or something like that, then it just makes everything a lot better. As far as how the match starts, so I jump in, you can either toss your grenade right away, or you can use your weave walk right away. Either one of those is going to allow you to perch some threadlings. So your very first fight, when you're engaging with somebody, you're automatically going to have threadlings. That's something that I think a lot of people don't think about. They hold their grenade, they save their weave walk, and yes, you want to make sure you're timing it with your weave walk because you get more threadlings the longer you're in it. So what I do is at the beginning of the match, oftentimes if I use my weave walk first, I'll pop it and I'll wait till about halfway through my melee charge, and then I'll get out of weave walk, and that will allow me to perch a couple threadlings, so that way I have them on hand when I get in that first gunfight. And then I'm going to want to save it. So I try to have one melee charge at all times so I can use weave walk to get out of trouble if I'm juking and jiving, if I've got multiple people around me. Sometimes I'll be able to lap half the map by the time I use my weave walk, and if I have a charge and a half of it. But oftentimes I just want to bait people into following me so that way I can get around a corner, pop my rift, throw out all my threadlings, and then use my fusion rifle or sidearm, whatever close range weapon I'm using, in order to take them out really quickly. And just the combination is absolutely hilarious. I am in love with this. I've been baiting a lot of people, and the nice thing for me, I don't see it that often. There's not a lot of other people that run this, and that's what makes it exciting, because I do like running builds where I just don't see a lot of similarities in the space. I don't see everybody else running it. It just feels better to me to have a more unique flavor on what I'm doing. But that's why I send out these videos. That way you can check it out, try it out for yourself. And then I'm going to change it up by the time the next Iron Banner comes around anyway, because I'm changing every single time. So it doesn't matter if you then hop on the train and have fun with this thing as well. I just want to spread the word. And I want more people to try to enjoy this, because I think it is an absolute blast to use. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me going forward. I know it's the back half of the season. I'll have some Festival of the Lost coverage. I think there's some cool things happening there. We got a new weapon to check out, a new armor that looks really dope. But other than that, I'm excited about the next season. There's a lot coming there. We got some more updates with Destiny coming as well. My name is JoPa. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.